This is a big thought, all right? Just let me have a drink. I got a big thing to say, okay? All right. I think we need to maybe change our expectations around Star Wars and what we expect from series like these. Halfway through this episode, I started thinking they're going like the serialized Star Wars route, right? So the more series they make, the more different episodes they make of these kinds of shows, the kind of different ideas around Star Wars we're going to get. I think the bar is set so high for Star Wars because of the expectation of what it was right from the beginning, right? When the original trilogy came out, everyone loved Star Wars. And then when the prequels came out, everyone hated the prequels, right? At the time, everyone who grew up with the original trilogy hated the prequels. I loved the prequels because I was a kid growing up during them, like a lot of people were, and really connected with them. Original trilogy and prequels set the standard for where kind of Star Wars is. We expect that level of production, that level of storytelling, that level of, creativity, the lightsaber duels, the amount of action, the budget those films had was absurd. Do you know what I mean? To make those things. What we're getting now with Star Wars is much less a product of that scale and more of, hey, we're going to make more content, but it's going to be not as deep and, more just kind of, I guess, fun in some ways. And I think that's what's changed about Star Wars. And I think we're all watching, every time we watch something Star Wars, we're expecting it to be on the same level as your favorite Star Wars thing. For a lot of people, that's the original trilogy. For some, my favorite film, Star Wars, is Revenge of the Sith. I grew up with it, loved that era. It was great. The prequels, man, the lightsaber duels, the storytelling, the drama, the emotion of Anakin turning into the dark side, everything that happened with Padme, it gets me every time. That's for me, peak Star Wars. So anything that falls below that is like, this isn't as good. And I'm trying to get back up to that level, right? And it's still for me, like that came out in 2005, it still never got there, right? I've never seen anything as good in Star Wars for me personally as Revenge of the Sith. I'm sure you feel the same about another Star Wars thing. Maybe for you it's Rogue One. Maybe even it's the sequels for you. Do you know what I mean? Maybe where is your bar set? And when it comes to these kinds of shows, I think we need to stop expecting Star Wars to be that mind-blowing pinnacle thing. These are shows created to make money. Let's be real. Like it's a production created to try and keep us engaged in this galaxy and explore more of like the side stories and subplots in the galaxy, smaller characters, side characters, everything else surrounding the Skywalker saga, but also the broader galaxy surrounding Star Wars. And I don't think anything is necessarily ever going to achieve the peak that it had for whatever was your favorite Star Wars. And every time I watch like an episode of like this show or another show, I'm expecting that. And I think that needs to change. I think you can't be on that level because it's unrealistic and it's never gonna get back up there. The shows are created for a different reason. Yeah, they're trying to like inspire and like keep you engaged in this galaxy and keep you immersed. But at the same time, it's like, it's so different. It's just different nowadays. And even the writing's different. The approach they're taking with the writing is different. The time they have to make these shows, they're making 8 episodes that each have, I think, like a few $1 million budget in like a short amount of time than they have to make a feature film, right? Or a series of feature films. The other thing I think we need to remember, George Lucas isn't making Star Wars anymore. George Lucas was the creator of Star Wars, and even though some people think he made decisions that necessarily weren't good at times, do you know what I mean? Like there were times he needed to be reined in. Do you know what I mean? There were times someone needed to say, no, that's not a good idea. It was hard to do that though, because he's George Lucas. He literally created this entire galaxy. How can you tell the creator that what he says goes in his galaxy isn't a good idea? But I think we need to remember that. I think we need to remember that this isn't going to be that anymore. George isn't making this anymore. It's not his galaxy anymore. It's evolving. It's expanded well beyond that. And that's kind of, where we need to expect Star Wars to be. It's not going to be that magnum opus, incredible project every single time. It's okay to maybe just have a bit of fun in this galaxy and do shows like this. That said, I still want more. I still want to see more character development. I still want to see more explored. I still want better shows. Like I was saying, Andor, the character development in that show, the kind of the issues it's dealing with, the things it's tackling with, the political concepts, the idea of like being a prisoner of war and all these like dreadful things. For me, that was great. And that's kind of like the depth of storytelling I want to see. Hopefully this show gets there with whatever they're going to explore with Anakin and Ahsoka's reaction to that. That's how Ahsoka felt about Anakin killing multiple Jedi. Maybe she'll have a scene about that. Like, let's make it darker. Let's go deeper. The Star Wars has a dark history. Anakin literally slaughtered kids in the Jedi Temple. It's pretty intense. So let's go deeper in that respect. I think that's where I'd love to see these shows go.